Welcome to the Two Old Pirates.
Two Old Pirates, podcast number 56.
56. It's been a while,
Yeah, a little bit.
but we're here for summer. Vinny is free, I'm free, and so we're going to go ahead and
I got my summer wear on. I'm ready for the heat. My plaid jacket. I'm ready to take on the weather.
got my Celtics long sleeve.
You're ready too.
Oh, and yeah, because they're in the finals and they're already up 1-0. But today we wanted to go ahead and come to you with some observations about life, that there's certain things that we all believe in, that we've all been taught over time, and they're all 100% usually wrong. These are misconceptions that we just believe because we've been told by somebody that we trust, or we read it somewhere and we're like, that has to be real and stuff. But so these are misconceptions that most Americans have. So if we go through any of these and you have a problem with them, look it up yourself. And we wouldn't have done this unless we're just trying to explain the truth about something.
Yeah.
First thing is gas prices. If you've gone around town anywhere, you might see these little stickers with President Biden, and it's stuck up near the gas price. And what does it say?
It says, I did that.
I did that. We live in a free market economy, and as an economics teacher, I try to explain that companies have final say over how much their product is going to be. Now, of course, you have all these different things, fluctuations with the stock market and stuff like that. But really, Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, they are deciding right now that you're paying $4.49 a gallon. They could easily lower that price if they wanted to, but money is the end game when it comes to business. You're in it to make money. And so therefore, a president, nor a Congress, nor a Supreme Court has any right in the United States under the Constitution to set any prices for anything. So you can poke fingers all that you want at whatever president. We're not talking about Biden. You can sit there and say Trump. You can sit there and say Clinton or Obama. You can sit there and say Nixon. Doesn't matter. Gas prices are fixed by the free market economy, and that's what we live in. So if you don't like gas prices, it's not a political thing like how you think it is. It's more of a business thing. And right now they're gouging us at the gas prices, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah, so if you're upset about it, be upset with the gas companies, not with the president. He's an easy target to focus your anger on, but ultimately he's not the person responsible for that.
And if he was, that'd be a dictatorship, and we are a democracy, right? So we're not going to go ahead and believe that one man has that much power, now, are we?
So I'm going to go ahead with another one. So you guys know I like to talk about video games on this podcast whenever I get the chance. So what do you think the first video game was?
I'd always heard the very first one was Pong.
I bet you probably think it's Pong, where it's just the two little table tennis paddles with the ball bouncing back and forth. That's actually incorrect. The first video game, as what we would interpret as a video game, was a game called OXO, OXO, invented in 1952 to be played on supercomputers, and it played a game of tic-tac-toe. OXO is how it's spelled, so it's spelled
which
like...
is hug, kiss, hug.
But the world's first video game was actually not table tennis, it was tic-tac-toe.
And Pong, if I recall, was in the early 70s, like 72 or 73 that it came out, that it became popular for at home. But when did OXO come out?
1952.
20 years ahead of what we've all been taught as Pong.
So, how long do you think Twinkies last?
See, we've all heard that the only things that will ever survive a nuclear holocaust are cockroaches and Twinkies.
Twinkies,
That
yeah.
they're supposed to last forever.
So, Twinkies have a shelf life. They're only fresh for about 45 days after they're made. So they actually do have a best by date. You can check the package next time you're at Walmart or at the grocery store. Check on the package. You can see that they do have a freshness date, and they do expire. I believe there are some people who have tried to keep Twinkies for extended periods of time, and they do turn gross and rancid after, a year or so. So don't try the experiment at home. Don't try to keep a Twinkie in the pantry for 5 years and then eat it. You will get sick. They're only fresh for about 45 days because they don't really have a lot of preservatives in them. They do have a preservative that's shelf stable for about a month and a half. And that's about all you can get out of a Twinkie.
The next thing, we're going to jump into a couple, and this is kind of a cringy subject. We weren't sure if we'd talk about it, but I'm brave enough
A little bit.
to take this on. When it comes to religion, especially Christianity, and I know that we've all been raised certain ways to believe certain things, but there's some basic tenets about Christianity that as Christians we're all taught. First thing is, there's nothing in the Bible that says that there's three wise men. There's nothing. it says that the wise men came bearing gifts, which were frankincense, myrrh, and gold, which is three things.
And it does say men, so it does mean there's more than one.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean there's three. We just assume three because one gift per wise man.
Right. So if you go to any Christmas nativity scene and you see little kids dressed up, there's going to be three wise men. It could be 10. It could be 2. It could be 35. We will never, ever know. We do know that they brought three gifts. And so therefore people have instinctively, and the church has said, three wise men. So that's just what we go with. Another one. It never says in the Bible that Satan rules hell. You can't find it in the Bible.
He's mentioned in the Bible. He's not a good guy.
Right. But it does not say he rules hell. So that's another misconception that we have. We always think he's down there with his pitchfork and his red tail and he's having all these evil people burned for eternity and stuff like that. But the truth is he doesn't rule hell. So
that just leads into the question, who does rule hell? Because that's going to be even more terrifying. And we don't know.
Yeah, it could be
Satan too.
Coming back at you. Another thing,
Satan's dad.
Another thing in the Bible, it talks about the forbidden fruit of the Garden of Eden, and people, for whatever reason, have always believed it's an apple, and apples were not native to that area in the Tigris and Euphrates, so they believe it's more likely a date, something like a date that was probably being grown there in the Garden of Eden, but it's not. It wasn't an apple, it just wasn't. And so, if you ever hear anybody say, "Yeah, the apple is the forbidden fruit that that Eve and Adam ate from and caused all this sin on the earth," it wasn't.
It was dates,
apple.
and
So
dates are nasty anyways.
Yeah.
So here's one that you've probably heard pretty often regarding the mafia. Is when people say that they're sleeping with the fishes, what are they wearing?
They're supposed to be wearing cement shoes. Basically, they
concrete shoes.
Concrete shoes that they put your feet in some type of concrete or cement to sink you.
Yeah, except the mafia has never actually used that to drown people in the water. Usually when they say sleep with the fishes, they're disposing of a body in water. But there's only been 2 recorded instances of somebody being drowned with cement shoes. One of them, I believe, was in the 1940s, and one of them was as recent as like 2016 or 2017. So that's it for cement shoes.
And that wasn't mafia hits. That was just people being found murdered that way.
Yeah, so there's no telling if that was actually a mafia hit.
Or somebody who heard the old mafia hit and said, "I'll do that."
Yeah, especially the one that was more recent from a couple of years ago. A lot of people think, now you guys know what 420 is. I'm sure I don't need to really explain it. 420, the number means that you're marijuana friendly. 4:20 p.m. being the time when you're supposed to light up with your friends. So a lot of people think that 420 came from the Los Angeles police code for marijuana use or marijuana paraphernalia or something like that. Like when it says we have a 365 going on on the freeway, those number codes that police use. 420 actually means obstruction of public space in Los Angeles. It has nothing to do with marijuana. Absolutely nothing. 420 literally comes from a high school club whose members got together at 4:20 p.m.
After school every day.
After school to just smoke weed.
That was it.
That's it. It's literally as simple as that.
Yeah, as a teacher on April 20th, when I hear my students say, "It's a holiday and stuff," I'm like, when I heard about the actual group of guys, that they're still alive. I mean, they're like in their 50s or 60s now, and they're like, yeah, we just used to, it was one town and like 7 guys who would go after school and they'd go get high in a park at 4:20. That was the meeting time, at 4:20. And now 4:20 is a worldwide celebration of stoners. And I'm just like, dude, imagine they didn't make any money off of it. They didn't, I mean, everybody that sells the paraphernalia and stuff, the t-shirts and the stickers and stuff, that's all just a bogus made up holiday for stoners, when literally if you're a stoner, you're probably doing it on every day.
Every day, yeah. Smoke weed every day. Just like, in quote, Snoop Dogg.
Now, growing up with a mother that was very concerned, she always told me I had to eat my carrots. That the carrots would make you be able to see better, especially in the what?
Dark.
The dark. And modern medicine has proved that's 100% grade A BS. It doesn't help you at all.
But there's beta carotene
Yeah,
in
the
the carrots.
carotene in it doesn't make you see any better. It doesn't help you when you're going to go to the eye doctor or anything like that. The other thing is, people used to say if you sit too close to the television, the rays coming off of it would burn out your eyes, and your eyes would slowly go over time. And they found out that that was BS also.
Yeah, it's not true.
It doesn't hurt your eyes at all to sit close to a TV, and it doesn't help your eyes to eat a whole bunch of carrots. And the final thing about eyes is, my mom used to tell me when we first got a microwave, never look directly into the microwave because it'll burn your eyes. The microwaves will burn your eyes. And that's not true either. The microwaves are inside the microwave oven, so therefore it can't possibly hurt you. So that's 3 different things dealing with your eyes that carrots don't help, TV doesn't hurt, microwave doesn't hurt. So those are 3 things that we thought that those are misconceptions that we've been taught over time.
So here's something for all the high schoolers out there that are going through high school. Maybe you got a couple pimples. Maybe you got
Puberty and stuff's going on.
Puberty and stuff's going on. Maybe you got a couple pimples on your face. You're worried about it. Maybe you got more than one. And people say, oh, popping them means that you'll get more of them, or it spreads it, or eating fatty foods, eating chocolate, eating greasy foods causes more pimples and things like that. Acne is caused by genetics. It's not caused necessarily by a poor diet. A poor diet won't help your case any if you have a predisposition to acne, but whether or not how severely you develop it, if at all, is determined by genetics. So if you're out there and you're listening to this, you're watching this, you're in high school, you're dealing with acne, it's genetic. Don't feel bad for indulging in your favorite foods. It's not going to make it worse. And get some Clarisil for your face.
That's an inside joke.
Inside joke. I'm a big fan of dinosaurs. I love Jurassic Park. I'm wearing a crocodile shirt right now. They're basically living modern dinosaurs. And there are people out there that think that man and dinosaurs co-inhabited the Earth at some point in the past.
Are you trying to say they didn't?
I'm trying to say they did not.
What?
Dinosaurs and humans never existed together.
I saw the Flintstones.
That's animated.
That's based on truth.
With the bird that plays the record when you put the beak down on the...
Oh, yeah.
The stone records. But dinosaurs went extinct about 63 million years ago. And modern man, as we understand it today, the common ancestor between humans and chimpanzees and bonobos, existed somewhere between 3 to 8 million years ago. So the missing link that they're always searching for in biology existed at no point anywhere close to the dinosaurs.
Okay, so there was an article which has been debunked, but it said that men, on average, think about sex every 7 seconds. So every 7 seconds, if you break down a 24-hour period of time, every 7 seconds, men are thinking about sexual activity. Benny, what's going on?
Huh? Oh, I was sorry. Just thinking about something.
Told you. But anyways, they've shown that would be impossible because literally how would you be able to function
Yeah.
when you go to work or if you're driving or you're just eating dinner and you're like, if you just wandered off every 7 seconds and your kid's like, Daddy, what are you thinking about? You're like, nothing. So yeah, it's been debunked. It's a misconception that men think about sex every 7 seconds. It's actually every 8 seconds.
Yeah. Big difference.
One that I really wanted to cover, because I believed in this when I was younger and stuff. I had heard the misconstrued that the F word, which we know the 4 letters, the big one, the F word, actually came from a time in the past where people that were adulterers that had cheated on their husbands or their wives, they were put in the stockades. So they're like put there, and then there was a sign that was put above them that said, "For unlawful carnal knowledge," meaning that they used carnal, which means sexual activity, for unlawful carnal knowledge. So to say they had sexual intimacy with somebody else outside of their husband or wife, so therefore they're going to be embarrassed in front of the village by being put in their head and their arms in that stockade and be basically handcuffed, but in a piece of wood, and they'd be embarrassed by everybody with the FUCK, for unlawful carnal knowledge. That's not actually what it's from, and that's what I had always grown up hearing, that it's a very particular word that can get you into a lot of trouble if you say it, but actually it's It's from an English poem in 1475 for Foucant. That's the first time in English literature or language that it's ever been found that translates to Fuck. And the Foucant basically meant what?
It means they F.
They.
It's a conjugation
F.
of Latin.
Yes. So it's from the Latin, brought into English, meaning they F. UCK. They F. So that's the first time it's not foreign lawful carnal knowledge, which, I mean, people have always been brought up with different things like that. Another thing that I want to talk about is about 10 or 15 years ago, an author, a doctor, he authored a paper over in England about how he tied vaccines with autism. And what happened was he's been thrown out of his, he's had his doctorate taken away. He can't practice medicine. He had to release a full page stating that the facts that he was actually using in the paper that he wrote, that he had fudged them all. But what happened is people grabbed onto that because so many people had children that were on the autistic spectrum somewhere, and they had to point a finger somewhere. They had to sit there and say, instead of just saying my son or my daughter was born this way and I'll love them anyways, they had to say something caused this. Was it the water? Was it the wind? Was it the ocean? I mean, they'll come up with anything. And when they read this one article, they're like, see, vaccines. So, when you get your polio vaccine or your diphtheria, tetanus or anything, that's all causing these. And so therefore, people started bringing their kids away from getting vaccinated, which of course rubella and all these other things started popping back up again because the kids are not being vaccinated, so they have a chance to grow. And the thing is, it was from one article. It's not been like published in a bunch of medicine journals. It wasn't like shown in different countries. Yes, this is all true. This man is correct. He's broken the secret code and stuff like that. It was bullshit, and he got caught. And so he's lost everything, and people still defend this singular man as though he's some type of god or something, or a savant, saying, see, he broke the code, and now they're telling him to shut up. And I'm all like, no, he bullshitted. He made it up, and then you have millions of people that are not vaccinating their kids because they say it'll cause autism. There's people that are legitimately, then I've seen interviews with people that they say, our son was 100% fine, and then he got the vaccine, and the next day he was autistic. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't work that way. Your son was either already autistic or you're making stuff up. So that's a misconception that any vaccine causes. And I know some of you might not believe that, but think deeply in your soul. How can one article that was proven to be false by every other scientist mean that it's more truthful than everything else?
I think what's important to note is that we know more about autism today. So we know the signs. We know what to look for. So in that regard, it's kind of like how attention deficit disorder was kind of the big deal in the 80s and 90s. It's a disorder that we understood more. We knew what to look for in kids that had it. So the same applies to autism. We know more about autism. We know more about Asperger's syndrome. We know more about high functioning autism. So doctors know what to look for, these traits, these signature traits, when diagnosing autism in young children and even adults that were on the spectrum that are in their 30s and 40s, back before autism was something that was widely known about. They're getting diagnosed late in life because autism is something that has always been around.
Yes, it's always been there.
It's just now we know what to look for. We know the patterns. We know the signs. And people equating it to vaccines is just false. It's not. It's a false positive. It's putting blame on something it's not what's causing it. And fortune cookies. I bet the last time you went to a Chinese buffet or a Chinese restaurant, even a nice sit-down one, I bet your server came and handed you, each and every person in your party, a fortune cookie after your meal was done. This is actually not a Chinese tradition, and in fact, fortune cookies in China are incredibly rare. They're actually a tradition that was started by Japanese restaurants that were cooking Chinese food, and then this is a tradition that was brought over to the United States and exists in Chinese restaurants for some reason. I guess because it plays into the Eastern mysticism archetype where they can read your fortune and the language is mysterious and everything like that, when in reality It's just something that was invented as part of the meal, and is not actually something like if you were to go visit China and have authentic Chinese food in the country, you probably are not going to get a fortune cookie. You'll get a bill, but not a fortune cookie. One of the things I'd also like to bring up is talking about how when people at weddings, when there's newlyweds and they're walking out of the church to go to their car that says "just married" on the back with all the cans tied to the back, to make a lot of noise as they drive away. What do people throw at them?
Well, in the old days, at every single one, they always used to throw rice until there was a rumor that came around which said
that birds will eat the rice and the rice will expand in the birds' stomachs and kill the birds, which is not true. Birds do eat wild rice, but they don't eat bleached white rice that's been thrown on the ground. There was some panic over it. People have decided to throw different kinds of grains, confetti, you name it.
They blow bubbles now.
So, but it's all out of this fear that birds will eat the rice and it'll make the birds sick or it'll kill the birds. When in actuality, the birds don't eat that, anyways.
We'll close with two different things. Alcohol. A lot of people think that if you take a shot of alcohol and you're cold, that it'll warm you. It'll warm the body. So a lot of people used to think about that. You've heard about the St. Bernards up in the Alps with the cask that they'd carry around their throats with a little bit of like whiskey or something in it for the person to drink. What happens is when you drink alcohol, it makes the blood near the skin pull towards the skin to warm the outer layer. What happens is by drawing that blood outwards, it makes the core of your body drop in temperature. So your actual body temperature you'll feel warmer because your skin, it'll warm you up on the outside, but the inside will actually drop, which if you were in a bad circumstance in the cold or something like that, it's actually going to make you get closer and closer to hypothermia.
Yeah, it's going to make it worse, way worse.
Yes. So that's the last thing you should do in cold weather is to drink a lot of alcohol due to the fact that it'll presumptively continue to drop your core temperature. It doesn't make you feel warm. It'll make you feel warm, but it won't actually warm the body.
Yeah, it's a weird sensation. It's a brain thing, but also deals with pulling your blood to the surface instead of keeping it at the core of your body.
And the last thing, and this has been argued over, and is still argued. Some people will go to their graves with this argument. Blood in humans is always what color?
Red.
Red. It is never blue or green, ever. What happens is people see their veins. If you were to look at my veins right now and you'd see a line right there where there's veins and it looks bluish green. But the thing is that's because light is reflecting off of my skin and it's not able to penetrate through the vein. What happens is once that vein is open and the blood is coming out, it automatically is red. A lot of people think it's blue until it hits oxygen, then it turns red. And there are still people to this day in 2022 that will argue this. Blood is always red in human beings. It is never, ever, ever green or blue. It's a refraction of light off of the skin. So there. I hope that we covered enough items on our list of misconceptions of human beings. There's so many more that we could have covered, but we wanted to go to get this in a quick one. It's only about 30 minutes long. I hope that you watch this, and I'm so sorry that we've been away for so long. But we're back for episode 56.
Number 56.
And hopefully we can get 57 done in another week or so.
Maybe. We'll see.
But please continue to watch. Let us know in the comments how you like what we've done, if you've enjoyed this or not. I would like to go ahead and get us to start doing this more often now that it's the summer. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And as always, thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to follow Two Old Pirates on Anchor, you can do that. You can follow us on Spotify. And you can also follow Eric at DeWolf24 on Twitter. And that's kind of the official Two Old Pirates podcast as well. That's if you want to reach out and send us some comments about the show or you want to interact with us. He's in charge of that. He's our social media guy. So be sure to follow us there as well.
So, yeah, we're on YouTube, Twitter. I think we even have an Instagram that I never use. And we're on all audio listening areas, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it. We're on everything. So please continue to listen. Give us a shout out if you want to. And peace.
Peace, yeah. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
There we go.